So this is my favorite plant in the city of Bad Neuenahr these days. Hi, welcome to the channel. This is Pardon My German. I'm Michael, and today I want to invite you to the second part of our presentation of Bad Neuenahr before the flood. And when I said this is my favorite plant, it is for a reason. Because if you look at how it's bent exactly in the direction that the water flew on the night of 14th to 15th of July 2021. And so I would much rather have this tree as a memorial of the night than all this scrap metal a few yards from here in the spa garden, because this is so symbolic. It's that bend but don't break. And that's why I like this tree much more than anything else that could commemorate the flood. And I hope it will one day be a symbol for a resurgence of our city after a few more years.
That bent tree that you just saw is placed here in the Dahlias Garden, another public park of Bad Neuenahr. And if you see the flower beds here, you can tell that there's also still a lot of work to be done until this garden looks really beautiful again. And here, right across the river, there is Kaiser Wilhelm Park, which has mostly been restored again. And here is that old gallery, seen from just across the river, and it gives an impression of the beauty of Bad Neuenahr as it was.
Just a few yards from this temporary bridge for pedestrians, there once, somewhere near this wooden fence, there stood the Kurgartenbrücke, Spa Gardens Bridge, which was a solid bridge, which even cars could use. And even that bridge was torn away by the flood. So that gives you an impression of how strong this flood really was.
Here we have footage of the old Kurgartenbrücke and the old spa building, and in the background the old casino bridge as it looked before the flood. And here you get an impression of the pedestrian area, which has been restored already, but only in parts. Other parts are still waiting for that.
Right here in the middle of the pedestrian area, this is a square called Platz in der Linde, Lime Tree Square. And we have this wonderful fountain, which is no longer functional, unfortunately. And apparently it will never be functional again. I've read this in a newspaper, which is a pity, as you will see in the pictures from before the flood.
And see how vivid a place this square once was. And unfortunately, today's Platz an der Linde faints in comparison.
This is the side of our former Favourite Café. You can still see the sign here, Café Feindsinn. Unfortunately, this is one of the many cafes and restaurants that were lost in the flood. And this is the pitiful state of this site 3.5 years later.
And this is how I want to memorize this cafe. It was a wonderful place. Just a few steps from the cafe, there is this church, Rosenkranzkirche, Church of the Rosary, biggest church in town, which has been hit by the flood as well. It's open again, but the last time we checked, there was still some restoration going on.
Another square not far from where we live is here, Jesuitenplatz, or Jesuit Square, with this chapel, and most importantly, over here, the Moses department store, the biggest.
And this is this square before the flood, and as you can tell, another beautiful place. Now, isn't this fantastic? You can shop some new clothes, and along the way, you can pick up a bottle of wine. Moses department store was one of the reasons why we moved to Bad Neuenahr a few years ago, and fortunately, they're back and they still have such shopping events like this one here.
Finally, Lennépark, a bit off the beaten path, and believe me or not, this once was one of our favorite places to go for a walk. And you will soon realize why when I show you how this place looked a few years ago.
So this is what Lennépark looked before the flood, with this lovely pond and the fountain in the middle, and as it was a bit off the beaten path, it was never as crowded as the Spa Garden, particularly on the weekends, so really one of our favorite places to go for a walk.
Don't know if you recognize this, but you probably remember the pond in the video with the fountain and the little rainbow as a sign of hope. That's what it looks now. Not much hope here. To be honest, this discrepancy between how this looked before the flood and how it looks now is too much for me. More than 3 years later, and this is a shame. So, well, let me know what you think. Leave a comment down below. To me, this is depressing. Well, that's it for now. If you like the video, then please give it a thumbs up and hit subscribe if you don't want to miss future content. And as I said, feel free to leave a comment down below. Well, hope to see you again soon.